Welcome aboard to this episode of the We Are Reading One Piece podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to following the entire story of One Piece from beginning to end as we focus on each volume. We keep the discussion spoiler-free for new fans of the series, so this is the perfect place to follow along, whether you're new to the series or just want to revisit the world of One Piece with us. This week, we will be covering the second part of Volume 67, Cool Fight, which covers chapters 663 through 667. My name is Joel, and I'll be your host. Joining me today, we have Evan.
What's up?
And we have Cody.
I'm still riding this high from lobbying back in the story. It's a great time to be reading One Piece.
Cool.
There's also so much more going on. It's also
Yeah.
It's just great. Punk Hazard. It's overall fire.
Yeah.
And ice. Whatever.
Yeah, so we're gonna get maybe a little bit more things unveiled in this part of the volume. So I think this will be a nice way to kind of set up more of where the story is going. But there's still going to be plenty to unravel as we go through the arc. But I'll just give a quick recap from where we left off. Nami, Sanji, Chopper, and Frankie wake up in a room with a head in pieces. They put the head back together and learn this is the head of the samurai who the distress call was about. The samurai explains he is here to find his son. Sanji takes the head with them as they escape and run to a room full of large children. The children plead for the pirates to take them with them, explaining they were taken from their parents because they were sick. Luffy's group made its way from the fire side of the island to the ice side after a confrontation with Brownbeard, the former pirate now working for the master of this island. With the help of Brook, they overwhelm Brownbeard's men. The G5 Navy unit, led by Smoker and Tashigi, arrives at Punk Hazard and are met at the door of the facility by the new warlord, Trafalgar Law. Nobody is allowed on this island, including government officials, so Law does not want the word to get back out that he's here, alone. To his surprise, the Straw Hats are here and run into the tense situation between Law and Smoker. Not wanting to get involved, they try to retreat. Law switches the bodies of the Straw Hats present with their minds to prevent them from going too far. Law uses his powers to take out the Navy, defeating Tashigi and then besting Smoker by taking out his heart. Law is a victor, but surprised to see Straw Hat Luffy and his group show up. So pretty wacky stuff. A lot of things happening, a lot of moving parts. A lot of players in the game.
I don't know what Law has planned, but I know that he knows everything's gonna go insane now that Luffy's here. It's all gonna go sideways. That's the only thing you can know at this point.
Yeah, Luffy's kind of walking right into the middle of it here.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like Law's the kind of person that wants to keep things like under control, and we're kind of seeing things like start to slightly unravel right in front of him. I think it's just fun to see this sort of play out here.
It's gonna be fascinating.
All right, so before we get into the first chapter for the episode, we'll start with the cover story. Decks of the World, Volume 44, Impel Down. Sadie's fallen in love with the new Vice Warden. Looks like Sadie and Saldeth are a thing now.
It's a good
Look at
ship.
the glow up.
Yeah.
It's a
It's like
good
he hit
ship.
puberty. He's probably like doing the same training that Kobe must be doing because like they grew up like the same amount in like a short. Well, actually, this is like a little bit more time than like it took for Kobe to grow. But like Saldeth, like big difference from where we last saw him.
Or maybe she just like put him on the rack and stretched out his limbs.
Ooh,
Could be.
This would be the place for it.
Yep.
that checks out.
Yeah.
You might be onto something here.
Who knows?
Okay. So that's that. Let's go on to the chapter. Chapter 663, CC. Luffy is happy to see Law, thanking him for his help 2 years ago. Brownbeard also seems happy to see Law and asks for help. Tashigi puts herself back together, then attacks Law to retaliate for him defeating Smoker. Wanting to end things quickly, Law swaps Smoker and Tashigi's bodies. Law tells Luffy to head to the back and they'll talk later, after he finishes taking care of the Navy. As the body swap Straw Hat group makes their way to the back of the facility with the children, some of them begin to collapse due to the cold. The samurai tells them to put rocks on their heads, revealing the power of his devil fruit to create temporary clothes. Luffy's group reunites with the other Straw Hats and gets filled in on what's happened to their bodies. They also reunite the samurai's head with his legs, leaving just his torso left to be found, which Brook ran to earlier. The Navy retreated to a nearby cave where they can regroup and come up with a plan. Smoker recognized the CC logo present on a ship near the facility, putting together that Law must be working for Caesar Clown, Vegapunk's former colleague who is wanted by the government. All
Caesar
right.
Clown.
What a name.
So that's what CC stands for.
Yep. Which you had seen on like the transponder snail earlier that Monet had.
Purveyor of weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah, that sounds like not like a cool thing to be working with here.
No.
I'm sure it's all just a misunderstanding.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's for the greater good.
Yeah.
Also, kind of a careless move to have your logo emblazoned on the ship nearby. I know he's probably not expecting people to come over because like the state of the island that's been reported, but just having something like at the entrance, I feel like that's probably not a great move. But maybe he also was thinking, oh, nobody's gonna recognize my logo. But it's kind of a bold move to just kind of put like your logo with, like for your name like at
Like,
the
why have a
entrance.
But why have a logo if you don't want to be recognized? Why? I don't get it. Something's not adding up with this guy.
This is One Piece. Our pirates love a good theme. We love our logos. We love our Jolly Rogers.
Yeah, it's like I guess like the calling cards, like like the wet bandits and like Home Alone or like serial killers, how they leave like their mark at the crime scenes. It's like they can't help it. It's like their ego just gets the best. They have to let people know it's them.
That could be it. It could be an ego thing.
It's the New World homeowners protocol.
God. New World HOAs passing by. Hey, we saw you at a stray iceberg, and it just messes with the property values. If you could just get that out of the just trim it up a little bit. Have a great day. Enjoy your kidnapping and child extortion. Have a good one.
Is that logo code? I don't think it's big enough. You need to be able to see it from at least 500 yards away.
And that's actually the main reason why Smoker had to destroy the iceberg on the way in, because that's actually part of the duties of the Navy is to also uphold the HOAs. This iceberg is not up to code. Like we have to remove this.
Man, we thought G5 was a raw deal with these recruits. Now it's just he's like the meter maid of the world government. My lord. Poor Smokey. Hey, we're unhinged tonight. This is gonna be a fun one.
Yeah. We're just getting started. Yeah, but speaking of the poor Smokey, so now we also have Law doing his thing here, swapping bodies with Smoker and Tashigi. So not only did he lose his heart, now he also lost his entire body. Has been swapped. So yeah, this is also like a fun development, kind of carrying over from the development that we saw with the Straw Hats in the last part of the volume that we covered. So now we're seeing the same thing is happening to Smoker and Tashigi.
I don't know why for sure. I think I like this switch better than the Straw Hat switch, honestly.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because there's such polar opposites that just makes it funnier. Maybe because it also adds into like the hilarity of like G5 being a bunch of dumbasses anyway. And now they're calling Tashigi captain. No, they're calling Smoker Tashigi. See, I can't even get it. I can't even get it right. It's just a recipe for silliness.
I love that I love this as like a skill for Law, right? Like he's not like killing anybody. He's just like hindering them by switching their bodies. Like it's not malicious, it's more like mischievous than malicious. It's weird. It's like a guy who's watched Freaky Friday too many times and just like loves giving everyone the old swap. Yeah, it's just like a unique use of power.
Yeah. Like logistically, I don't know like exactly how it works with his powers, like with the skills of the powers. But to be honest, I don't really mind that much. I just think it's like a fun like thing to play around with, and just like the concept alone is enough to be like, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it doesn't work with his powers. I'm just saying I don't know logistically like what's working, because like the way it's been represented is like we say like their hearts kind of pop out, but it's just like the personality is like something like that's more like intangible. It's not like his brain like he's not doing brain swapping or anything like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I just think it's an interesting concept, but as for like how it's being done, I'm not gonna like question it that much because it's probably
Yeah.
better not to.
Yeah,
I mean,
but it's interesting because I feel like he's not treating them like they're foes, right? Like if they were foes that he wanted to completely immobilize, he could have chopped them all to bits and that'd have
Yeah.
been that. But he didn't. He's like very. It's like a very intentional setback, I guess. It's more of a setback than like an immobilizing of somebody.
Right.
It's
He's
very
not just like being like cruel and brutal and just like
right,
killing everybody. Yeah.
right.
Joel, to your point about just like the weirdness conceptually of this, not questioning it because I think suspension of disbelief takes care of that, but it kind of this read reminds me of Kuma's power. The fact that Kuma could take an intangible concept of pain and push it out, and Law is able to
Hmm.
operate on personality. So maybe this isn't a Law specifically, maybe it's not a Kuma specific thing, maybe it's something about the way certain paramecias could work. Who knows? It's just I think it's really cool that it's not the first time Oda's done this, and I didn't think about that similarity till this read through.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Or
Yeah.
also, I
or
feel like vaguely comparable to like Moria's ability to like sever someone from their shadow,
yeah,
where
totally,
it's kind of this like
totally.
cool, like intangible thing that he's able to materialize. And yeah.
Yeah, and you know, shadow personality. There was a correlation there too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
Lost,
true.
Lost not swapping shadows, but I'm like, I feel like there's some like spiritual cosmology that Oda has that he's just like giving us
Right.
little pieces of or something like that.
Yeah. That's
Also, Law's
exactly
a
his love.
brat. I think that's the way I'd put it. He's just a little brat who lives for the drama, and I love him for it.
Yeah.
Also, you know, he can't have people going too far or getting too close to whatever he's doing. So there's a tactical aspect, but he's just a brat. He just
Yeah.
like the first thing we see is it's what was it? Killer and Arouge fighting. Drake's I was like, it was just getting good. What is wrong with you? He just loves chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. But then he also
But
has
I,
this oh yeah, no, you go.
no, I was gonna say off of that, like he loves chaos, but he's also like a control freak,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
which is an interesting combination
Yes. Yes.
for sure.
Yeah. It might be like a matter of being like, I don't want things to get out of my control. Like,
Yeah,
Yes.
so I think
for
that
sure.
could be a big part of it. And yeah, I do like that his purpose is a form of control. Whereas like, I'll deal with
Mhm.
that later. Like they're not going to leave because they're not going to like, they're not just going to take off like with the buys like this. So they can't leave because I put them in this state. So I like that. That was his kind of reasoning for these things. And it's kind of keeping them on the leash, so to speak.
Hmm.
It is really interesting though, when he and Luffy reunite, and Luffy literally says, "Hey, I ran into you here. Thank you so much. What happened to your bear, man?" And Law, and literally at this point, he could say, "Yeah, you owe me one. Get off the island. Don't tell anyone, or like help me dispose these Navy guys." But
Hmm.
Lodge says, "I was acting on a whim. Don't think anything of it. Just
Hmm.
completely neutral, completely neutral. Where this could be an opportunity for him, but he's saying we're square, which just to me is very interesting for
Yeah.
someone as tactical and as has and with such an affinity for control as Law. That's just a very interesting contrast to me."
Yeah. Yeah, and he's not asking for something in return. Like, hey, now that you mentioned it, I'm gonna cash in on a favor. Like he could be
Exactly.
like, yeah, I did that for you, so now you gotta do this for me. He's just kind of like, it was no big deal. I just did it because I wanted to. Like, you don't have to thank me. But like, I do like that Luffy like is thankful and like he's
Yeah.
very like he does express it
Hmm.
here very clearly multiple times.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then like you said, he's also not like shooing Luffy away, or like he like it's like a position where he doesn't really want too many people around here because like he's trying to keep like a low profile. So I think it's interesting that he decides to like to talk to Luffy. He's like, "Hey, I'll talk to you later. I'll tell you like what's going on, but like meet me out back." And I think it's also interesting that Brownbeard is happy to see Law. So it's kind of like, oh, we see like they have some kind of relationship or like familiarity. So Brownbeard is also he's kind of like thinking, oh, he's not talking to Luffy, he's talking to me.
Which, this man thinks he's a recurring character. This man thinks he's high on the call sheet. This poor. Why do I have sympathy for Brownbeard? What? Oh,
He's like, I'm a color beard man, so I'm like up there with like white beard and black beard. I'm important.
I'm an emperor now.
I'm equal to them.
You get
the samurais.
Oh, nothing. I was gonna say the same thing as you.
We're about to. Yeah, the samurai is a cool devil fruit. That's all I had.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. It's like, I thought that was hilarious that he's like this master of disguise, and everyone's first thing is like, "Why didn't you use this sooner? Like, you could have given us coats from the jump."
Yeah, that like thankful, like, oh, thanks for the coats. That really helps. Like, you idiot, you should have done that earlier. You let us freeze all the time when you could have done this. Like,
yeah.
And for him, it's sorcery. It's not a devil fruit. Yes. It's sorcery. I had a peculiar fruit.
Yeah, so we know it was like a devil fruit because he said he ate a fruit. But yeah, he doesn't seem to recognize it as such. So it doesn't seem like he's really familiar with the concept of a devil fruit, like as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is that just him thing? Is it a samurai thing? We don't.
Yeah, like is it a wino thing? Like we don't really know.
Yeah, who knows? We didn't need the titty lighting though. I'll say that much. We didn't. I was just like, all right, Oda, have fun. But we did need to see this man's head solely on his legs.
Yes.
Yes.
That was perfect.
Yes, we did.
That was perfect.
Incredible. Incredible.
Yeah, well, I was like really kind of like I feel like the MVP so far because like all this wackiness is because of him.
Yeah,
it's just creating for like such a fun situation with everything like just being so like wacky out of control.
Yeah. Oda, yeah, the more I think about it, the more I just like the juxtaposition of Oda consciously making the most serious, grimdark, edgelord looking character be the source of some really, really funny shit.
Yeah.
Just
We're
some
having a lot of fun.
Like there is some really good comedy coming through this.
Yeah.
And it's this emo nerd that's at the center of it. Also, Luffy learning law as a warlord.
Yeah.
Sends me. So good. So good.
So good.
Yeah, and Luffy seems to struggle with his name. So he's like, "Oh, you're Traffy. Yeah, Traffy. That's right."
Traffy's gonna stick, I think.
Traffy. I like Traffy.
Yeah, and then we just kind of end on the note. I like that Smoker is kind of getting a sense of like what's going on. He's putting the pieces together. So his experience and familiarity with like previous events is kind of coming to play here. So he's familiar with Caesar Clown, who is a former colleague of Dr. Vegapunk, and who was now wanted by the government.
Another Vegapunk name drop.
Yep. Oh, and random tidbit about this Vegapunk name drop was the moment I realized that Punk Hazard is probably named after Vegapunk, like Vegapunk. Because last episode we talked about how great Punk Hazard was as a name and how much we're loving the island, but I don't think we mentioned that Punk is like a direct reference to Vegapunk.
Yeah.
And I'm a little mad I didn't realize that last episode, but it just dawned on me this chapter. I was like, oh, that makes sense.
You're not the only one. I had the same thing. It hit me like a bag of bricks.
But yeah, it seems that Law is actually working with Caesar Clown. So we're just kind of talking about how Law's not going around like killing everybody, but then we have him working directly with this person wanted by the government for working on weapons of mass murder. So it's kind of like something's not really adding up here.
Yeah. Something's afoot.
Yeah. But do you guys have anything else for this one?
I think that's all I got. I'm hyped for this next chapter, though.
Yeah. All right.
This one's a good one.
All right, you heard the man. Let's get into the next one. Chapter 664, Master Caesar Clown. Smoker and Tashigi also discuss the possibility that the reports of child abductions are being covered up by someone in G5, blaming them on pirate attacks when they were actually being brought here. Smoker decides he'll get his body back, along with his heart, and expose what is happening on this island. Caesar Clown wraps up a transponder snail call, reassuring his men that they are free to kill the intruders and that Joker will report whatever happens as another accident in the area. One of Brownbeard's men returned to Caesar, reporting that his boss was captured and he needs help. Caesar tells him it will be all right, he has a new medicine for him. At the back of the facility, the Strats put little masks on the body swap members so they can tell who is who. Brownbeard tells him who he is and that he has a hatred for Luffy's generation after what Hawkins did to him, with the exception of Law. Because of Hawkins, Brownbeard lost the use of his legs and quit being a pirate. He ended up on Punk Hazard 2 years ago. He tells him that the island used to be green and full of life. Vegapunk had set up 3 labs on the island where he would experiment on prisoners. 4 years ago, an accident caused an explosion, destroying 2 of the 3 labs. The accident wiped out all life on the island, making it a toxic environment and forcing the government to abandon the island. The prisoners left behind also lost use of their bodies. Caesar Clown arrived a year later and helped the prisoners, providing them with means to get around. After Law had become a warlord, he further improved the quality of the life of the victims, granting them animal legs that they could use to move around freely. Back at Caesar's lab, Brownbeard's subordinate begs for his life as Caesar cruelly tested gas on him. The subordinate hallucinates and then dies. At the G5 cave, Smoker explains to the soldiers that it was actually Caesar who was responsible for the accident 4 years ago. He was second in charge of the science division behind Vegapunk, but was apprehended due to his work on toxic weapons of mass murder. He escaped capture due to his powers, but it seems he made his way back to this island to continue his experiments. All right.
Well, everyone's very excited for this one. I want to hear his thoughts.
I know there's so much. There's so much. I don't even know where to start. But the clown is out of the clown car, and we get this really cool introduction to Master Caesar Clown, whose character design I love.
Yeah,
so good. This like gaseous cloak that he's wearing, awesome. I think the character design looks really good. But just jump back to the beginning of the chapter where Tashigi and Smoker are having a conversation, which I find super interesting because Tashigi's catching wind of this like government cover up, and Smoker seems like pretty unsurprised and is telling his crew that they might have some like weird illusions of the Navy. And it kind of is just showing where he falls on the subject matter of like following the government and how much his, we've talked about like people following their own sense of justice. And we've talked about it specifically with the Navy people, but I think here is a cool example of Smoker kind of being like, yeah, it's not all like, flowers and rainbows over here. Like there's some shady things going on. And you got to be aware of that and know that these things are happening. But I know it's just putting everything in like a really precarious situation right now for all of our heroes, because we have now like all of these different parties kind of coming together, and the lines between where the alliances are and where the the line of good and bad is kind of crossing over lines here. I think between Tashigi and Smoker and the Navy and the Straw Hats and Law and this guy Master Clown. I think it's really interesting to kind of see like how where everyone is lining up.
Yeah, I do think it's very important that it's Smoker and Tashigi who are in this position, because we've seen them like, back in Alabasta, where they kind of like had these moments where they were deviating from the typical way that Navy handles things, and they made decisions based on what they felt was right, which meant letting the pirates go, but it ultimately saved the kingdom of Alabasta and those people. So they kind of put their faith in the Straw Hats when they could have captured them and, let Crocodile kind of carry on. Mm-hmm. So I think it's important that we're still seeing consistently that it's Smoker and Tashigi who are still kind of questioning things, and they have like no like they're not like fooling themselves, being like, oh yeah, like the Navy wouldn't be capable of this. Like they're actually being like, this is the most reasonable and logical explanation. Like this is probably what's happening. So they're putting the pieces together and seeing what's in front of them and facing reality, and they're planning to like act on it. So I think it's important that it's Smoker and Tashigi who are still kind of questioning things, and they have like no like they're not like fooling themselves, being like, oh yeah, like the Navy wouldn't be capable of this. Like this is the most reasonable and logical explanation. Like they're putting the pieces together and seeing what's in front of them and facing reality, and they're going to like they're planning to like act on it. So
Mhm.
yeah, they're the ones who seem to have like a moral compass in the Navy. So I really do enjoy when these characters get involved, and we can see how that plays out and how they're more about upholding justice more so than like what the Navy typically is doing. When they are usually doing something for selfish reasons or just blindly being like pirates are bad. That's it, cut and dry.
Right.
I think it also makes who Smoker's subordinates are make even more sense. Because these are these two, in a sense, model Marines. Like they've risen through the ranks and they are well regarded for their work. Um, but of course, they're not always, on the same agenda as the Marines as an institution. And they have these really unruly dudes, these hooligans, these degens. I think it's just a nice inversion. But these guys are saying that they have the bare minimum of pride a sailor needs. Um, which one is just funny, but it's also like, oh, you care. You do care. And then Smoker drops the best quote: as long as man joins together to conspire against man, there's no such thing as a perfect, untainted organization.
Wise
Mm,
words.
Smoker's the perfect boss for these guys.
Yeah.
Because Smoker can see the nuances in their their goals and their commitment versus their outward appearance. Um, and can also guide them to, hey, no, like if you're gonna do the right thing, we're doing the right thing.
yeah.
And you got to see what's behind the surface.
Yeah.
I don't think I've mentioned this maybe a couple times, but Smoker is definitely my top 10 characters in One Piece, and this is another example of why he's
Yeah.
great.
Smoker's great.
Smoker's awesome.
It harkens back to the themes of Fishman Island, where it's like, see with your own eyes, make your own,
Mm.
come to your own conclusions, follow
Mm,
your path, follow your sense of justice. Like, um, don't blindly follow.
yeah.
And it's
And
just cool seeing that from Smoker, and also him casually like telling that to his Navy crew, being like, you know, things aren't always as they seem. Like you gotta take that into account.
yeah, and I feel like that kind of same thing might be why Smoker got put with G5 because it's like they might be kind of the people that have been kind of discarded or like underestimated,
Mm.
and it's like we'll just put with these guys. Like we don't want to like really put like our best soldiers like with these kind of rogues over here. Because like Smoker and Tashigi, even though they do good work, I feel like they probably don't fall in line as much. So they're probably just being like almost as like a punishment. Like here, just take these like untrained or like less trained, unruly group, and it might be like yeah, we'll just throw them with them.
Didn't Smoker ask to get transferred? Smoker said,
Um,
I want to be at the start of the new world. Didn't he
yes,
say something like that?
it could be, but maybe that's why these people are there because it's just kind of
I
like
see.
yeah, we're just kind of
Then
throw
there's a
them like
Smoker there.
here,
I
yeah.
got you. I got you now.
Yeah, I still think
Yeah.
Smoker's main goal is also to try and get Luffy. Like, I feel like that's his kind of priority. But I
Yeah.
feel like he's also able to shift the priority if it comes down to it. He's not like again, he has that like sense where it's like I'm going to do the right thing, even if it doesn't mean capturing like the Straw Hats. Like now it's like I'm going to do the right thing for the people. He actually cares about people, like what's going on here.
Speaking of what's going on, covering up child abductions, that hit in a very different way than it did when I read this back in the day. This is oh my god, it's that's just so messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bringing back to Smoker, one of Smoker's first scenes was literally doing something nice for a kid
Yep.
too. So
Hmm.
I'm sure there's some intention there on Noah's part, but that's the world government's been devious in a lot of ways. This is a very new way. God.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
awful, and it gets worse.
Yep. Oh, it doesn't go into like adult fear, if that makes sense, very often.
Yeah, but I also kind of feel like he has been kind of delving more into that kind of stuff too. Um, again,
I
I think
guess.
maybe with like I feel like that's where like the racism kind of comes into play. Um, and like now here as well. I'm not sure if that's really in the same vein of like what you're referring to, but
Not quite. Like in the fact that
okay,
like I think of this as like none of us have kids, but like we're of the age where we could have kids. And I personally like I work as a teacher, I work with kids, and there's just something like that is just the idea of that happening or like the fear of being a parent experiencing that, or being a kid experiencing that, and knowing that that's like a whole different visceral level to me. It's like the kind of thing that a kid, even a teenager, will understand. Like racism, genocide, those are incredibly horrific things that have consequences that go on and on and on and on and on, and get worse and worse and worse and worse. But there is just something, I don't know if it's the deception, I don't know if it's the vulnerability, I don't know what it is, but there's something about this that just, it's in a not necessarily more severe, but more visceral way. In a way that I think is gonna hit different for an adult than it is for a kid.
So you say more specifically
Significantly
for
different.
parents as opposed to adults in general.
Potentially. I mean, I'm not a parent though, but I think like closer to that. Closer to that.
Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah.
It's
I don't
next
know.
level evil.
Yeah. Yeah. But I do think that there is truth to what you're saying, Joel, about Oda getting into more. I can't think of words right now. I can't think of words, but
Yeah.
more, I guess, more societally severe things and
Yeah.
more realistic evils.
Like things are hitting on a real level as
Yeah.
opposed to like
Yeah.
a
Yeah. Yeah.
fantastical, like, hey, let's go beat up the bad guy kind of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something about this that's just disturbing, really disturbing,
Hmm.
Yeah.
horrifying. Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of disturbing and horrifying, so we also get some more insight as to like what happened on the sideline. So we have Brownbeard's version of the events, and we also have like Smoker giving kind of like, maybe like what's also known as well, like what happened on this island. So Brownbeard has this version of the story where uh, you know, Caesar is being kind of painted in this like positive light, where Spoker is saying like, "Oh, Caesar was responsible for this horrible accident that like wiped out all the life on this island." So yeah, it seems like kind of like Brownbeard was maybe told one thing, and what actually happened was something different. Yeah, was there anything that you guys wanted to dive in on that?
On Brownbeard?
Yeah, or just like the accident that happened.
Well, I think maybe one party is being less truthful than another. But so during this backstory, we get that Law stepped in to help replace legs to create these like centaurs and like these half human, half creature people, which is great. But it does beg the question, like, where did all the animal heads go?
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Are they like just like in a room being like fed like
Yeah, what
leaves
is
and stuff, or like?
Well,
right?
like
Because they'd have okay. So with I don't know if we've learned this about Law's ability yet, but would they have to be alive in order for the lower half to remain alive?
That's a good question as well. I was wondering the same thing.
it's the trend so far, at least.
So far, but we haven't seen anything die per se. So yeah, where's Law keeping all of these animal heads?
Yeah, we
It's
haven't seen any example of like one part like dying,
right.
and how it affects the rest of the body. It just seemed like the body exists just separate from each other, like as if like nothing happened, but it's just that they're physically spaced in different places. But yeah,
But
or
they do sense their other parts. We have seen that
right.
mhm, right.
specifically with the samurai, and there's other examples, but
Again, because yeah, it's like as if like they weren't separated, but they're physically separated, but it feels like they're not.
right.
Or Law's taking the upper body of one animal and putting it together with the upper body of the other animal. Like Sid from Toy Story. And like to me, like I know, I'm sorry,
I
Joel.
don't
It was just
know.
a very dumb thought I had. And this is just then that's I have many thoughts on Law. That's one that's very superficial, one I'm willing to discard. What I will say though is that this again to me is another great juxtaposition in the fact that there is something very compassionate about the fact that Law is a doctor, as
Yeah.
we're
Mhm.
as we have seen allusions to, like as he has saved Luffy's life, and there is a genuine compassion in restoring mobility to these people. It's also just really weird. it's just kind of
Yeah.
like, you good, dude? You're just a little. It is a little Sid from Toy Story. There's something a little morbid
little bit.
about it. Yeah, and
Yeah.
and I think that's. I kind of like it. It just as like an expression of character thing. I'm like, it's interesting.
Hmm. Yeah, it is interesting, and it kind of brings up like the cool thing about devil fruit, how they're all unique, because it's like there are no two people going through the same experience with their devil fruit. Like, sure, there's like comparisons and like parallels, but like no one truly is making this like no one else is making this decision that Law is making here, or like going through this kind of thing, which I think is just kind of an interesting thing about the like power structure of One Piece in general, how they're all unique.
Yeah.
Mhm.
One thing I did just think of though is if the animals still had their like upper parts, I feel like they would be in control of the legs, because the people who have the animal parts seem to be in control of their body. It's not like they're running away,
Mm,
like not
right.
in control. So I do wonder if maybe they don't exist anymore, and now like the lower parts are just being controlled by whoever's being attached to it.
Yeah.
Unless, yeah, I mean, I don't know, because we've
This
seen with
could be
like
a
the
variation.
people. Yeah,
It
because
could
we've
be a
seen with the
variation of
people,
power
like,
we haven't seen yet.
yeah, like the people are still like controlling the parts independently. So you would think the same would apply to animals, but yeah, if there's no like upper part anymore to control the lower parts, I wonder if,
Mm.
yeah, or if maybe like they could have been like dead animals, and like now they're just like we'll take whatever's left. I don't know. This wasn't in the text, so I'm trying to speculate.
Yeah. It is interesting though. It just makes you think about how his powers work, and maybe we'll get more of that later. One other thing worth mentioning in this chat, there's another name drop. So when Caesar Clown gets off the phone, he got the green light from somebody from high up, who he
Mm,
names as Joker. And he seems to
Joker.
have gotten yeah, he seems to have gotten permission from Joker um, to he got like license to kill on the Straw Hats G5 and our Severed Samurai, and is promised that it can all be chalked up to look like an accident.
Mm, yeah.
So some pretty powerful promise being made. So it must be somebody in like a pretty high position, and a new nickname that we haven't heard yet.
Yeah, this could be this could possibly be the person from the Navy who's covering things up. This could be his contact. But yeah, their identity is being hidden behind the name the Joker.
Yeah.
So Evan, I'm going to ask you: do you think Joker is someone new or someone we've seen before? And that's
I
not to
think
steer in
it's
any direction. That's just I'm always curious about these things.
so I can't theorize about somebody I don't know yet. So I've been theorizing about people I do know. And I don't know if it's somebody that we already know in the government, or maybe like another warlord potentially who has some sort of grasp over naval activity, I don't know. For some reason, my mind went to Doflamingo, and I don't know why. I think maybe because of his like personality is like Joker makes like sense for Doflamingo, and he does seem to be kind of like the puppet master behind the strings, pulling the strings. So
Okay.
I don't know. There's not a lot of reason for that assumption. I was just kind of like my first guess.
You made a claim, and I respect you for that.
It might have no grounds, but I don't know. It's probably someone we haven't met yet, but
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to go off of. Like, yeah,
there's
it's
really
just,
not.
yeah. So we do
But
have like
somebody,
the nickname, and then like just like we have this like concept of a conspiracy being introduced, but we don't really know the full extent of it.
mm,
I'm just going to ask that question anytime we get into Alias. Anytime.
yeah,
And we never know. But I always want to know Evan's theories.
yeah. I don't really have a theory. But
Okay.
somebody high up, somebody who has access to, someone has access to government reports.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
One thing that I kind of questioned was, I mean, I could probably explain it away, but I think it's just weird that like Caesar would go back to the island that he was originally like working on, that people knew he was involved with this thing where he's now wanted by the world government for the experiments he did on this island. So I think it's weird that this is a place he would go back to. It's like people wouldn't think
Mhm.
to look for him here. But I think my kind of like reasoning was like he waited a year before he came back. So maybe he kind of waited for things to die down. And maybe like people wouldn't think to check here because it's also like this like inhabitable island that's full of like a toxic gas. I was like, oh, there's no reason to go check there because nobody could possibly live there.
Right.
But yeah, I just think it's kind of weird that like this is a place that like Caesar decided to return to after what happens, like returning to the scene of the crime, you know?
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess there's a reason that that's a saying. I guess my first thought was like, are there? I guess maybe it's the specific resources that are still left in that one lab. Maybe that's what he needs for this. I
Hmm,
guess
yeah,
because I'm sure it's gonna be hard for him to, you know, get the resources he would have when he was actually in the government's good graces.
yeah,
But I
that
don't
makes
know.
a
I
lot of
think
sense. Yeah,
it is still peculiar though. I feel like the price says a lot about Caesar.
yeah,
But there is we do see in this little exchange that Caesar has with Monet, as he is experimenting on this centaur guy, torturing this centaur guy,
yeah.
smiling about it. God, I hate him. Um, Monet asks if it's another failure, and Caesar loses his shit, saying they never fail. Even what he did 4 years ago didn't fail, and that everyone claims the opposite. So I think that like I brought up ego briefly last chapter. That's he's very concerned with how his experiments are viewed and
Yeah,
perception of him and his work. So I think ego seems to be an even bigger and bigger part of what's driving him here.
yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also feel
Also,
like we see like his manipulative like character qualities where he's like, especially the centaur guy, he's all like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna be great. We're just gonna just take this little medic." Like he is upfront, like very like charismatic and kind and caring, and then next thing you know, you're in like a death chamber. You know, it's like
mhm.
I feel like he's very manipulative, which makes me question his storytelling, which we see, you know, Brownbeard recalling the narrative he was told
Yeah.
Very two faced.
later. Yeah, very two faced. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else getting an Orochimaru vibe from him?
Yo, I was gonna say that. I was
I'm
literally gonna say
sorry. I'm
that.
sorry.
No, I'm glad you did. I was like, maybe this is too much of a long shot,
No.
but yes. Also, immediately got Orochimaru vibes.
I could see it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I think they're kind of in the same vein.
I think
yeah,
even the wrinkles, I'm like, this feels not the same, but in the same vein for sure.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
Very elusive, manipulative, two faced kind of villain.
Scientist.
yep.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you said that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But we also do get the confirmation of his devil fruit, which is the gas fruit.
Crazy
Pretty
that a
cool.
whole state of matter is a devil fruit. This is gonna
Yeah.
be insane.
Another Logia.
Yeah. Yeah, and he seems to view himself as the greatest scientist in the world. So maybe like a little jealousy of Vegapunk. Like, oh no, I'm really
Yeah.
I'm the
Ego.
best scientist.
If you yeah,
People think he's the best, but it's me. It's all me.
Yep.
if you're the greatest, you don't have to prove you're the greatest.
Ooh. He thinks he's Kendrick, but he's really Drake.
Uh,
Sorry, are we not taking sides in this podcast, Joel?
No, that's
Are we
all
good? Am I good? Am I good?
Yeah, we're all good on that front.
we're all good on that front.
One other thing I thought was interesting was the 11 supernovas from 2 years ago have now been branded as the worst generation, but they've also thrown Blackbeard into that group as well. It's like the 11 supernovas plus Blackbeard. They're the worst generation.
Yeah, not
Although,
fair.
I feel like Teach is part of a different generation, but for some reason he's being lumped in with them. But maybe because like he started becoming like well known during that time, because he was kind of laying low before that.
Yeah,
He didn't have a bounty when he joined the Warlords.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of like young cool kids, and then like this old guy, like all part of like the same generation. Yeah, we're all the same.
I mean, you go to any dive bar, there's always going to be one. I want to know what the other supernovas have been up to.
yeah.
Well, we know Hawkins
been a minute.
previously was he had that confrontation with Brownbeard, which we had mentioned in the last episode,
Mhm.
but we kind of get a little bit more insight as to like what happened, and we see Hawkins did defeat Brownbeard, and that's kind of fueling some of Brownbeard's like distaste for the rest of the supernovas,
Except Law.
except Law.
No, actually, I think like at this time, like I like on Sabaody, I think Hawkins was like the supernova I was second most interested in. So seeing him mentioned here is very I'm very excited by. And I am excited
He's
to see
also
more
very
about it.
mysterious.
Mhm.
Yeah. I may have a type. I just like the tarot cards, just like the esoteric. Just very, very, very and weird ability. He's just
Yeah.
also very left me wanting more, you know?
Yeah.
Left me wanting
Yeah.
more lore.
Yeah, I just had like these last two notes here. I just wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
So we also get confirmation that the dragon was actually one of Vegapunk's creations. So he created a dragon, which is pretty crazy.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Did
And
Caesar create a
then
dragon? I don't think so.
yeah, we haven't seen one yet. So
Poser.
and then I just also wanted to mention Caesar also name drops Foxfire Kinemon.
Mm-hmm.
So he just says we have permission to kill the Strat crew, G5, and Foxfire Kinemon. So he throws that name in there with the other ones. So that's the first time we've heard that name.
So, Evan, do you think Foxfire Kinemon is someone we've seen before or someone we haven't seen before?
I'm assuming it's based off the name, our samurai.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
I said I'm going to ask every time, so I'm going to ask every time. I have to commit.
Yeah, so that's all I got
Foxfire.
here.
Do we think Monet was also made using? I can't imagine that Monet was also made using
False power.
Law's power. Yeah, that seems
No.
like a different. It seems like a different transformation to me.
It's not totally out of the question. I mean, I can see like in concept.
Usopp seems to think that might be the case
Yeah.
because
Okay.
when he hears a story about how Law put the animal parts in people, Usopp says, and the
Right.
centaurs and the bird woman, it all makes sense. But wait, what about the dragon? So he lumps Monet as part of that group because he's the only person I also saw like the bird person.
Totally right.
But that doesn't mean it's
what
true.
do you guys think?
But
I tend to think that it's not, but it could be. Her her transformation seems more like natural.
yeah.
And not as hodgepodged. Or
So could it be a devil fruit?
could be a devil fruit.
Okay. So yeah, did you guys have anything else on this one?
I think I'm going to move on.
All right, so let's move on to Dex of the World, Volume 45. Impel Down, the most trustworthy man in hell, new Vice Warden Magellan. Magellan was demoted to Vice Warden following the incident 2 years ago.
Oof. He's in his own hell, I think. Looks like he's had some repairs done as well. He looks pretty beat up.
Yeah.
Metal wing.
Yep. Metal wing,
Okay,
metal
he's got
horn.
Yeah. Metal hand, perhaps.
That I think his hands were already like, right? Weren't they like that?
Oh.
Was that his gloves?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Could be misremembering.
Yeah, definitely the wing and the horn, and his face is pretty beat up.
Yeah, he's like a large scar on his face.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like everybody's still cheering him on in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of feel like Magellan got like the short end of the stick here, where like he yeah, I don't know if he like deserved to be demoted, but I
Yeah.
mean that was a pretty big fiasco. But at least he still has a job. I guess it could have been worse. He could have been like outright fired or put in prison himself.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
But we know Hannibal's not letting him live this down.
But he's still in the back of the chair him on. So he's like, "Yay, go voice Warden!" Like now he seems to like, support him. Before he was like, "I want you to
Yeah.
fail."
This is where you belong. Below me. Woo! I think it's that vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy.
But also, so it looks like Magellan's the one that Sadi's in love with, not Saldeth.
Oh, really?
Because the
Oh
caption is Sadi's
yeah.
in love with the new Vice Warden, which this
Oh,
confirms to be Magellan.
Right. And we get the hearts.
And as we see, yeah, exactly. Yep, the hearts.
That makes sense.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Sal still did get a glow up though.
Oh hell yeah! Oh hell yeah!
So he
No
was just
shade on
kind of thrown in
Saldeth.
there for no reason.
He's
but
worthy
yeah.
of her love, but yeah, it does seem
There's
like
homies.
you misread that.
No, Saldeth's her wingman.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just there. He's there to help the homie.
Yeah. Well,
Wingman.
thank you for pointing that out and correcting me. Because yeah, I did misread that.
Oh, good. I
So yeah,
think I
going
did the first
back,
time too.
yeah, going back, it seems like maybe she was like, "Oh, let me look good before I go see the Vice Warden." That's why she's kind of like looking at the little mirror, or maybe, yeah, but yeah, that's a
She's
really
getting
good
ready.
point. Yeah, she's getting ready. So I guess Sadie and Magellan are potentially a thing.
Mm.
At least, at least in Sadie's end. Okay, how about we move on?
Yeah.
Chapter 665, Candy. When Sanji learns the samurai ran off to retrieve his torso, he feels responsible and runs out after him as well. Brooke offers to accompany him, and Nami orders Zoro to go with them to protect her body from them. As Chopper runs some tests to see what was wrong with the kids, they start to collapse. The kids explain that they would normally be given candy at this time. Chopper is shocked to realize that the master has been drugging the children. They are now going through withdrawal. Chopper becomes furious, revealing that Caesar has been giving them a highly addictive stimulant that only a handful of doctors in the world are allowed to handle. The kids become violent, desperate for their candy, but Chopper refuses to allow them to be given drugs anymore. Usopp uses a sleep star, safely knocking the children out. Luffy agrees to help the children and says that they should go after the master, but Chopper will stay behind to treat the children. Unfortunately, Zoro, Sanji, and Brooke have been taken out. As Law delivers Smoker's heart to Caesar, he tells the warlord that he hired the mercenary duo, the Yeti Cool Brothers, to deal with these Straw Hats. Okay,
No,
where to
fuck
begin?
Caesar. Fuck Caesar.
Yeah. This is hard to read.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like what you were saying earlier, but worse. I mean, knowing what we know now and like literally watching Chopper's heart break is hard to read and truly despicable.
It definitely brings him to a new low. Like he's already like such a low character, which we saw like how cruel he was, and kind of experimenting on people for fun. But yeah, this is like he just shows like no regard for life, and like for him, like children are like off limits. He's willing to even experiment on them. We don't really know what his end goals are, but like this is like crossing a line that, like for even for like a villain, like this is like really low to sink to.
Yeah.
I
I don't need to know. I don't need to know what his end goal was. Like, yeah, this guy's scum of the earth.
I was like, yes, I was like crying as like saw Chopper's reaction.
Yeah.
Fully knowing it was what was coming, but it just hit me. Between this and between what we mentioned like last chapter with like just the scale of his deception and emotional manipulation toward Brownbeard and all these other people he has working under him, especially the guy who tortured, like from solely a writing perspective, it is commendable how quickly Oda has established how evil this guy is.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. We don't have like the sheer volume of depravity, not depravity, but of just of the same volume of evil as someone like Spandam or Crocodile, but like we're going really deep, really, 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 really quick.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and there's still plenty of arc
I
to
don't,
go.
yeah, and I don't know if I want more from him, but like I'm invested in him getting his ass kicked for sure.
Yeah. This guy's got to go.
But that is a great point that Oda does a really effective job of establishing characters quickly. So
Yeah.
he's able to make you like somebody quickly or hate somebody quickly. Like he can really get to the core of people and make it feel like organic. Like the way this has been playing out, it has been very organic. Where we're getting like people who are familiar with the person, they're giving their accounts. We have like Brownbeard being deceived, and now we see like the facade that Caesar's been putting on with like the people working for him. And then we see like the real side, and we see like he shows his face with like Monet. So like, yeah, there's been like so much reveal about this character in a short period of time, and Oda's done such a great job of letting the reader know kind of like where this character stands.
And we didn't even see his face until last chapter.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we're already this far in our feelings about him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
already
set
wanna
up the
punch
character
it.
very well before we even saw him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which isn't necessarily new for Oda, but still.
Yeah.
It's never not impressive.
Yeah. So then we also find out that Caesar was drugging the children by giving them a stimulant. So he was using the candy as a way to, again, it was kind of like the same thing Law was doing, but like in a like a perversion of that, where like he doesn't want them to leave because they're dependent on the candy. So like it's a form of control. Be like, you have to come back to me because you want to get this candy. He's like saying, "Oh yeah, this is like good for you," but really it was just meant to keep them here from like wanting to go out too far. So he's like not really concerned about getting the children back. He's like, "Oh yeah, they'll just return to me because they need their candy."
But like you
Um,
was saying earlier,
yeah.
when the way Law does it is ultimately harmless, inconvenient,
Hmm.
but not maybe not fully harmless, but not on the same level.
Oh yeah,
And
no, it's
easily
completely different.
reversible. Law's a doctor and Caesar's a scientist.
Yeah,
And he's a scientist, so he's experimenting, and in this case, using innocent children to run his experiments. Which the Straw Hats figure that out, knowing that some of these children were not the size that they are now, that they've grown in size.
yeah, yeah. Because we do learn that the children weren't actually sick.
Right.
Like Chopper confirmed that like they weren't actually sick, and they weren't normally this big. Like they were surprised to hear that these kids aren't actually giants. They used to be normal size. So we know whatever like Caesar is doing to them is like altering them to this.
To gaslight children into thinking they're sick and that they have this like growing is so evil. It's just so despicable.
Yeah. So they basically, in a nutshell, they found these kids, told them a lie. They said, "Oh, your parents said to come with us." They kidnapped them, started doing experiments on them, and drugged them to keep them like under control. And they basically told the kids, "Oh yeah, we're helping you, and like we want to make sure that your parents don't get sick." So yeah, they just lied and manipulated these children to do like these like terrible things to them. And that's kind of like where we stand.
Then made those children's parents think the kids were dead by
Yeah, so
falsifying news reports about them.
yeah, that too.
So
Yes,
there's no hope of the
yeah,
parents ever going to try and find them either.
yeah,
God. And then the thing that really kills me in this chapter is when the one kid sinned turns on Luffy because he thinks that Luffy is the one who has lied to him.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now
God,
he's like, "Oh, Luffy,
I can't
you're taking the candy away from me. Like it's your fault."
I can't even look at that page. I can't even look at the page right now. Oh my God.
Yeah. Last thing I just want to mention on this before we move to a different topic was Brownbeard kind of seems to be in the dark. So it doesn't seem like Brownbeard's been complicit with this. So like as far as he knows, the kids are sick, and his master he says he's a scientist of love. so he's treating them. So Brownbeard, doesn't want like people to talk bad about his master, but he doesn't really know the full truth. He only knows what's been told to him. So he's also kind of like in this position where he's being manipulated too. But on a different note, I do want to bring up probably one of the one of the funniest moments of probably like, the entire arc. One of my favorite moments is Robin's reaction to Frankie as
Yes.
Chopper.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah. This is like one of my favorite things like ever, because like Frankie is like doing this like weird like laugh with Chopper, like showing like his teeth, and then Robin says, "Don't ever make that face on Chopper again." And then he says something like, "The real problem is those kids. What are we gonna do with them?" And then Robin says, "Frankie, I don't want you to speak in that form again."
Ever. So good. So good.
So it's like the
Gag.
things that
So
like
good.
that make Robin tick, like I just find so amusing, because it's so like selective.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of my favorite jokes in the whole series. Actually, it's so funny.
Yeah, it's very
It's
funny.
really, yeah. I also do really, really, really love Sanji going after the samurai.
Yes.
Because it's like, now it's my fault if this idiot goes on his own and gets killed. I'm the one who took him off there. It's my fault. Buddy, it's okay. You're allowed to help. You're allowed to
Yeah.
want to help him. I love when Sanji's like a little tsundere when it comes to being compassionate about people. That is one of the things I love about him.
And I love how Brooke like helped him get to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a great moment for Sanji's character where he does feel the sense of responsibility. He probably shouldn't have to, because he didn't put the samurai in the situation, and the samurai was going to just be like stuck in the room, like he had nothing else to do. So like Sanji was really helping him, and like he, like helped him get reunited with like his legs, so he was in a better position than he was before when he met him. But Sanji still feels like a sense of responsibility. Is like, oh, if anything happens to him, like I personally feel responsible. So yeah, I just think it's a great development for Sanji's character.
Yeah.
Sanji helped him get back on his feet.
Hey, nice.
Oh.
Well played.
But like this,
That was good.
that is the part of Sanji that like I do miss sometimes. I feel like hasn't had as much attention given. And we do get another Sanji perv joke after this. This one I think is a little. Oda tried a little more with this one, with the him and Brook, and then Zoro getting sent. I think circumstantially it's funny. But I think just. But this feeds in with like Sanji being on the Barate with all these dudes who won't talk about their fucking feelings, but like generally just like in what they do, love helping people,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but are just too prickly, tough as nails, macho, like to actually. And I think that's such a cool thing about Sanji's character, because he is just a goober. He is just so soft, and he just loves people, and he cares so much, and he feels so bad all the time, and he puts everything on his own shoulders, but he's not going to say it. And I think when Oda leads into that, it's so good. It's so good.
But with the whole like sending Zoro as like the babysitter, well, the whole situation is kind of like also reminded me of like the live action Scooby Doo, because like don't they have like the moment where like they do like the body swap too? Like doesn't like Fred go into like Daphne's body or something?
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's gonna be like the same kind of vibes, but like, but yeah, I mean, I guess if Scooby Doo can make the joke, like Oda can make the joke too.
Yeah.
But then like the fact that like Nami sends Zoro with them to be like he's gonna be so focused on fighting with Zoro, he's not even gonna think about like doing like things like that are inappropriate. So like I like that, like that was like the tactful move to do.
I think it's the fact that Nami's getting one up on them is the thing that makes it funny for me.
Yeah. It's like I
And
know
it's-
to send Zoro, like he's going to like make sure nothing happens. Like Zoro's going to be the one to like, just like keep Sanji so like focused on him instead.
Yeah, genius.
Yeah. she was like, "Oh, Zoro, go make sure like Sanji doesn't do anything weird." It's just like this is just going to naturally happen. Like I don't have to worry about it because this is just what they do. Like
And also, like, I've never been a big fan of like Nami hitting the crew like as comedy because I'm just like, I just like it just doesn't make me laugh. But this is funny.
Yeah.
This is Nami one-upping them just by being smarter than them and just by knowing how they work, and that is funny.
yeah,
I love it. For two characters
Also
whose
love-
humor I've been like, come on, this is just like Oda's tweaked it perfectly. I
Mhm.
love it.
yeah.
Sorry, Evan, you're saying?
No, I was just gonna say at the end of that conversation, Luffy's like, "Why can't you guys just stay the way you are?" He's like, "What's wrong?"
Oh,
It was pretty cute.
He's like, "This is just amusing for me." Like,
Yeah,
like I feel like if Luffy got swapped with like Zoro or something, or like Robin, he'd be like, "This is cool. It's an adventure."
yeah, but it'd be
It's
probably like
kinda
Oars,
sweet.
where like he tries doing
Yes.
the stretch, but it doesn't work.
Yes, 100%.
Like, oh yeah, I can't do that anymore. But then, unfortunately, towards the end of the chapter, we see that Team Zoro has been defeated, which is not what we expected from like Zoro in particular. You know, but
Yeah.
we see like Zoro, Sanji, and Brook are all knocked out or dead. They couldn't even be dead because they were sent. The assassins, the Yeti Cool brothers, were sent after them.
yeah, it's just bad. Man,
Now,
the
this is
Yetis are
crazy.
huge,
Yeah.
Yeah,
massive,
they're also pretty cool.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
Also,
for you audio listeners, Cody put the sunglasses on, referencing the CSI. It was Miami.
I think it's the Miami one here.
I think it's Miami. Yeah,
Also, Law gave Smokers Heart to Caesar.
yeah.
That's kind of not great. That's kind of
Don't love that.
it's pretty. I really don't love that, homie.
He just got whammed last Christmas. I gave you Smoker's
Oh,
Heart.
bro.
The very next day, he threw it away.
Oh God! I spent so much time repressing that entire song.
Oh my
Every
god.
year at home, it's April.
No, it's Christmas all year long.
Ah! Just because it's snowing just means Christmas, Joel. Ah!
Not cool.
No, that was really good joke. Though. That was really good.
Thank you. All right, we good to move on?
Yep.
Okay. Just real quick, in the SPS, I feel like this came up before where they mentioned the bath frequency. I could have sworn it's in the SPS. I know we
Yeah.
mentioned it before, but I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it was actually an SPS question before too.
It
We
might
needed
have been.
pressure.
But I don't know if it was like when we had the full crew or not, or if it was like maybe before, like Brooke
yeah.
may have joined the crew. I don't know. But yeah, I just could have sworn that like this had come up, and that's why we had mentioned it before. But just in case, it's
I
Brooke here
know-
again.
I know we mentioned showering as a concept. I think when it was like Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji in the bubble, and be like, ugh.
Yeah. But we're
But
like,
I-
but Luffy and like Zoro, we knew like only showered like once a week. So.
Yeah. So I think Oda did like a couple characters, but definitely not everybody.
Okay.
But yeah.
That's it. I just wanted to bring that up. All right. Well, let's move on to Dex of the World, Volume 46. Impel Down, level 5.5. All hail Bon, new queen of New Kama Land. Bon
go.
Clay has returned to New Kama Land, taking over as the new queen.
Swan! Oh, we love him. We love them. We love them. Oh. Oh.
You do love them. Love the new do.
Yep.
Swans are looking good as ever. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a great development
This is great.
because Bon Clay's fate was left up in the air last time we had seen him. And now we see things worked out maybe pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just glad to see that after like Bon Clay's sacrifice, yeah, this is where he ends up.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, so let's get into the chapter. Chapter 666, Yeti Cool Brothers. The Yeti Cool Brothers report to Caesar that 3 of the Straw Hats are already dead. Monet seems disappointed that they were defeated so easily, as the world government marked them as a threat. She says Law must know Straw Hat Luffy pretty well from meeting him 2 years ago, which surprises Caesar. Caesar questions if Law summoned him here, but Law reassures him he was just as surprised, and had he known Luffy was here, he would have warned Caesar to take appropriate measures. Law had made arrangements with Caesar to let him work on the lab here in exchange for assistance on the condition they not tell anyone he is here, including Joker. Caesar realizes that it wouldn't make sense for Law to ruin their operation here. Law asks what he meant that the children would return sooner or later. Caesar admits he drugged the children through the candy. Law doesn't seem to approve of Caesar's tactics. Law decides to leave, telling them to let him know if they need help. At the abandoned lab where Chopper and Nami are watching the children, they come under attack with explosives. Luffy's team finds the large footprints on the path and realize Nami and Chopper are in trouble, so they have to go back. Brownbeard is happy to hear the sounds of the attack, realizing the Yeti Cool brothers must be here to save him. One of the brothers, Scotch, has made his way into the cave, revealing to Brownbeard that he is on the Master's hit list as well. Brownbeard is in disbelief, but Scotch plays a recording where Caesar tells him to take out the nuisance Brownbeard. Scotch fires multiple point-blank shots at Brownbeard before Luffy's team returns. Brock tells his brother that the others have returned, so they retreat for now, taking Nami with them as she is in Frankie's body, equipped with some of Vegapunk's technology. At the back of the laboratory, 2 of Caesar's men ask Law where he was going, but Law makes it clear he doesn't have to tell them anything. All right, where do we begin?
Is that you, Rock? I'm Scotch. Yeah, an unfortunate betrayal for Brownbeard here.
Yep, after being so loyal.
Yeah.
I can't believe like Brownbeard, the guy who decided to take advantage of Whitebeard being dead and take over his territories, would be this tragic a character.
Yeah.
That is insane.
But yeah, it seems like he just didn't have what it took to be a pirate, and unfortunately, when he was taken in, he was kind of given like basically things that would kind of like earn his loyalty. So Caesar kind of made it seem like, oh, here's this and this and this. We're gonna help you out. We're gonna take good care of you. So he like got Brownbeard's trust. Now Caesar kind of just used that trust and abused it. And once he found out like, oh, Brownbeard's not really useful to me anymore, he's like, here, let me just discard it. So that seems to be like something he's just kind of willing to do. Like he's not like afraid to just like discard things that he feels no use for, including people.
Yeah, just more proof of how manipulative he can be.
And we do also get some information on this partnership, whatever it is, between Caesar and Law as well. Which is, I think, interesting given the differences we've been noting between the two of them. But there's something. One, we know that Law does not agree with this. How much Law knows is also very up in the air, because Law makes a point that they stay out of each other's business. They don't stick their nose where they don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
Joker, whoever that is, does not know Law is there. And Law made a that being the case. But yeah, I think there's still some mystique here, and I'm approaching the scene as if I know only what we've discussed about Law. But there's something big that Law wants here to be putting up with this guy, right?
Yeah.
Could it be?
Clearly.
Yeah. Could it just be the fact that he has shelter and he's undetected and that no one knows he's there? Is it something with this facility? Is it, he mentions government secrets? Is it that? Is it the research? Who knows?
Very mysterious.
Very mysterious. But like you said, it does seem clear that their goals, their cooperation together is helping them each achieve their own goal, and their goals do not necessarily align. They're just each using each other to reach their own personal goals.
Now, but even though Law didn't know about the drugging, isn't a fan of the drugging, you still know Caesar. It's not that hard to tell Caesar's not a great guy, unless you're Brownbeard. So there is still something morally gray about Law even hanging here. Also, we talked about the fact that Law's crew is just nowhere to be found.
That's a good point.
Yeah, definitely solo.
No Jean Bar, no Polar Bear, no those two
Yeah.
other guys. Yeah, none of them.
Yeah. But when you become a warlord, do they typically like keep the crew? Like I feel like we haven't really seen. Well, I guess like Boa's had her crew.
Mm-hmm.
But all the warlords have been
yeah.
kind of independent.
Yeah, I think so. I know that like back in the day, like that was like a common fan understanding. So there was a mistranslation about when Jinbei was mentioned by Johnny and Yosaku, and a lot of people took that as, oh, a warlord has to give up their crew. But going like after like translation being reclarified and stuff, that's not a line that said. It is a trend though. It is a trend that a lot of warlords do operate pretty solo. Crocodile whole had an organization, but it was secret. Meathawk goes on his own. Jinbei was separate from the Sun Pirates. Of course, we have other reasons for that. And as we see here, Law is currently solo, but we don't have info either way.
Right. We don't know why.
What's up there?
Exactly. Like, it doesn't seem like he had to, because like we said, like Boa was able to keep the Pager Pirate. So yeah.
Right.
So it seems like there must have been like some other reason why his crew isn't here. Like, what are they doing now during this time?
Yeah. Very mysterious.
And then it seems that Caesar is also interested in Frankie's technology, because he took some of Vegapunk's equipment from his lab and installed it into his body. So yeah, it seems that that's something that's interesting to Caesar. But he's also like, we'll just take the weapons and discard the rest of the body. He's like, I have no use for that, so let me just take the useful parts. So again, it doesn't matter that it's a person. Like, let me just throw the rest like in the furnace or whatever.
Yikes.
We do have this fight scene between Luffy and this one's Scotch, right? That he's going against.
Scotch is the one with the eyes.
Okay, maybe this is Rock's then.
Rock is the one that's on the roof. Scotch is the one that went into the cave.
Gosh, okay, yeah.
Or the abandoned facility.
Yeah.
There's something creepy about these massive Yeti who are like so light on their feet and can disappear so quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have to see their faces.
Yeah, their faces are hidden.
So do they full on? So Brownbeard's dead.
Seemingly.
Just like the other Straw Hats too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, the Straw Hats have been labeled as dead.
Yeah.
Oh, Zoro, Team Zoro.
Sorry, bud.
Yeah, this is also like pretty like heartless here, where he's like, hey, you got a hit on you, so you're Brownbeard, you're out. And then he just like blasts him multiple times. He's like, all right, double tap.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, brutal.
Yeah, like I think it is like really sad to see Brownbeard kind of getting the realization. He thinks back, like where he was praised by Caesar, so he felt like he's being useful. Like the moment where he's like, "Oh, you're a valuable patrolman, Brownbeard," and he's like, "Oh, not at all." Like, so he felt like he was doing something important, and like he was, somebody that his master respected. But now he feels like he was just a tool being used, and that's kind of like the realization he has, like in those last moments before he gets blasted. Yeah, so he's a pretty tragic character, like you said. Like he has just like a downward trajectory, and it's just sad to see that play out.
Yeah. How much of it was karmically deserved for things he did before, but still, but tragic nonetheless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's again, just amazing that's even a discussion we're having about this guy.
But yeah, we do also have that flashback here that Evan had mentioned previously, where we do see Monet with
Oh,
regular arms and feet.
Yep.
So
Just
we,
regular human person.
yeah, because one thing to note is that she was writing. She's writing with her hand here, but in the current, like in the present, we see her actually writing with her wings. I would think
Mhm.
that if it's something that she could control or transform, I feel like she would. There's not really a reason not to turn back into a human to like use her regular hand to write.
Right.
But it seems like she's learned to write with her wing. But that does kind of, I think, indicate that possibly that it was like a case where she did have to get animal parts like implanted into her to replace her limbs that weren't working. So she might have been one of those victims too. Although with the timeline, if I'm thinking back to it, because if Law's here, then this means that this must have happened within the past 2 years. So the accident would have
Right.
happened prior.
yeah.
So it doesn't seem
Yeah,
like she
right.
would have been part of that accident, right?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it.
Doesn't seem like it.
Yeah. I do think it's ironic that she is the one being, Law, can you replace their limbs?
Oh
There
yeah,
could be like,
that was a request that she made. Yeah,
yeah, even if
Mhm.
it's not circumstantially connected, it would be interesting if this was the case. Just given the fact that she mentioned it in the first place,
yeah,
like a Chekhov's gun kind of thing.
yeah. So we don't have answers for that, but we have questions.
Of course.
All right, anything else before we move on to the last chapter for the episode?
No.
All right, then let's move on to the cover story. Decks of the World, Volume 47. Kamabaka Queendom, the King of Queens, follows Straw Boy's travels. Ivankov sips a cup of tea as he enjoys reading the news of Luffy's return. Wait, that's not Kevin James.
Ha! Yes.
Yeah, nice to see Ivankov again.
Yep.
Does Ivankov just get bigger and bigger every appearance?
So it's hormones.
Hey, good for them.
Ivankov being fancy with the pinky out.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Ivankov has escaped Impel Down. No longer needs to be the queen of level 5.5. That's now Bon Clay's territory. Ivankov is now just back to the Kamabaka Queendom out in the world. Still enjoying freedom.
Happy for both of them.
All right, well, let's wrap up with chapter 667, Cool Fight. Luffy is surprised to see that Brownbeard was attacked by the Yeti Cool Brothers. He decides to head after the Yetis to get Nami back. Frankie says he'll come too since it's his body. He tells Chopper to give him a rumble ball so he can go to monster form to fight. Chopper tries to warn him to use it in case of emergency only, but he doesn't listen and takes it immediately, causing him to lose control and start attacking Luffy. Caesar has a plan to deal with the Navy and tells one of his men to evacuate all the soldiers from the island unless they want to die. In the mountains, the 80 Cool Brothers set up Nami as a trap for her friends to follow their footprints and try to save her. Frankie chases Luffy off a cliff, causing him to fall towards the spikes below, set up by the brothers. Luffy uses armament hockey to destroy the spikes, then tactfully uses a Gum Gum balloon to send back the cannonballs fired at him by the brothers right back at Rock. Scotch fires at one of the mountain peaks to cause it to collapse, but Luffy's already got his hands full avoiding Frankie's attacks. As the mountain peak is about to fall on them, Frankie jumps up, grabs it, and throws it at Rock before he can fire. Frankie then proceeds to attack Luffy again, just when it seems like he might be useful. Frankie returns to normal size and passes out as Scotch grabs Nami and tries to retreat. Law shows up, which Scotch is relieved for the help. To their surprise, Law cuts him in half. Scotch tries to stab him back, but Law knocks him out. Law tells Luffy he's here to talk. He has been thinking things over and tells Luffy there is something on this island that could throw the world into disarray. In order to make it as a pirate in this world, you either need to ally with one of the 4 emperors or become one yourself. He figures Luffy isn't the type to follow someone else, so Law has a plan to take down one of the 4 emperors.
Very cool.
Yep.
Yep. The question is, which emperor?
Mm,
Good question.
I'm excited to find out.
You have any guesses, Evan?
I don't know. Let me think on that one.
You have a 25% chance to get it right.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just gonna. Maybe I'll piggyback off my earlier crazy speculation that Doflamingo is somehow involved in this. So I'm gonna say Doflamingo.
Oh, it's one of the
He's not
emperors.
an emperor though.
It's even
Dopey's a-
higher.
Oh shit! Right,
The
even
warlord.
higher.
Yeah.
So your options
Um,
are Big Mom, Shanks, Kaido, and Teach. Those are the emperors right now.
I don't know. Teach
And two of them
seems
we know
like
very little about.
I mean, you don't have to guess, but I don't know if you had.
yeah.
you had
I'm
to-
curious.
I'll decline guessing because I haven't really put much thought into it. But I can't imagine to be Teach because he seems like final boss material. But we'll see. No current speculation.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, if it is Big Mom, that could be convenient because Luffy is already picking a fight with Big Mom.
Ooh, yeah,
So
that's
this
true.
could work out, in his favor. Teach would also work out in his favor too because he also like has a bone to pick with Teach. Kaido, again, we don't really know that much about.
We only
Um,
really know Kaido by name, right?
yeah, we haven't actually seen him yet, and we only know him from like hearing his name like here and there, and that he's had beef with Moria.
And that he tried to stop Shanks from stopping Ace's execution.
Yeah, that he was fighting Shanks at the time
Yeah.
of Marineford. And then Shanks would be inconvenient. So, like, if Shanks is the one that Law's targeting, that might put like Luffy and Law at odds now. So this
That
could be a
would
very tense
be
situation,
yeah. Very true.
and that could determine Luffy's answer as to like how he wants to respond to Law here.
Ooh, I'm so intrigued.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like Shanks and Law were more aligned when it came to the war, or the fight, the big fight.
But Law also did say at the start of this half of the volume, don't put any stock in that. I was acting on a whim.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And we still don't know what his actual goal is here.
Mm-hmm.
But just like
Mm.
the idea of taking on a warlord is quite ambitious. And like it's like that's taking a big step because like where they
Yeah.
are currently at, like yeah, they're big players, but that's like a whole nother level. So
Yeah.
that's like trying to like, you know, shoot ahead here. I mean it worked for
But
Teeth,
But Law does make that really good point of if you want to survive here, you either work for an emperor or you try and become one.
uh-huh. Yeah. So he might have a better
Yeah.
idea of how the world works.
Yeah. And this also does give us some new context into Teach's actions. And just how deeply ingrained this mindset could have been in him from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I guess how much survival could have informed it, at least at first.
Yeah, it's eat or be eaten.
Mm-hmm.
World of Pirates.
Yep. And Luffy only eats meat. No, I'm serious. I'm serious. Like he has to be the captain.
Yeah.
He is not the prey. He is the predator.
Yep.
He's a goofy idiot, but he is the predator.
So you're saying he's gonna eat one of the warlords?
Hey man. I'm not confirming or denying.
Put
I
it
can't
past
spoil.
him.
Wouldn't put it past him. He could. He
I
has
think-
the stomach capacity. He could.
Big Mom would be the most convenient story wise, I feel like, since we just got the intro and like you said, the beef's already been formed. So yeah, this ranges from very convenient to very inconvenient. So very, very interested to see where this goes.
Yeah. I remember the forums were so chaotic between this chapter and the next one. Because I
It's
was still
also
reading week to week, and people were like losing their shit every day.
well, it's wild because even in that same vein of conversation with Law saying like either like work either oh, like supersede somebody or you work under them, and he's also asking for an alliance here, which both of them seem like this could be not really either of their cup of tea, like working together. But we'll see.
Yeah, we typically know how like Luffy operates, and we've kind of seen how Law's been operating.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like they don't really operate the same way.
No.
So
Control versus no control. Yeah. And Luffy's good at working with people, but then he's going to ask you to be in his crew.
But here's the other thing. As we've seen and talked about, Law functions very well controlling chaos.
True. That is
So
true.
could he think that Luffy is the new chaos he can control?
That's a good question.
Very interesting. He has kind of always been fascinated with Luffy, like ever since they first met.
Yeah. Well, we'll
Yeah,
see.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see where this goes.
It's such a great. I'm so glad this is the last chapter. I'm so glad
Yeah.
they ended on
Yeah.
this for the volume. Perfect.
That was a great,
Yeah.
great cliffhanger.
But also some other really good moments in this chapter.
Yeah, another cliffhanger.
I love Frankie saying, "Hey, give me them beans." I want them beans. I love Frankie and Chopper.
So good.
I know he's always out of pocket, and this may just be like the disparity and like or the incongruity in seeing him in Chopper's body, but I feel like there's like Frankie's like a special brand of unhinged right now. It's pretty and it's very refreshing.
So, not to keep going back to Law's ability,
feel
but
free, feel free.
Sanji or Nami has been incapacitated, but Frankie's body with Nami's body has been incapacitated, but she's still functioning fully within Frankie.
Like her consciousness is yeah.
Right, her consciousness is still functioning, even though her body has been incapacitated.
Which I think that kind of makes sense given the way we saw the samurai's different parts functioning independently, I guess. So I guess in this case, the consciousness is independent of the body.
Yeah, but it's interesting because also like, but not fully independent because he could sense when his body was fighting. He could sense his
True.
other appendages. It's interesting. I'm so curious to learn more about Law's ability and how it works and the science behind it because there's a lot going on there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah. But yeah, that's an interesting point though, because it doesn't seem to affect the
Right.
conscious people, regardless of like whatever happened to like the original body.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess they just operate independently for the most part. But it's also like crazy how Frankie just like chomps on the rumble ball like immediately. Like I was like, be careful with this. Like, don't just take it like all willy nilly. He takes it all willy nilly and like immediately chaos. So again, like this whole like arc's just been like chaos so far, and it's like like another like complication that we did not need. And Luffy now has to spend like his time trying to not get attacked by Frankie. Yeah, it's like so dumb, but like so funny, like the way that just happens.
I also just love the panels of like Nami and Frankie or Chopper in Sanji just superimposed on Frankie and Chopper doing whatever dumb shit he's doing at any given moment. I love those panels so much.
I love how Oda's used like their eyes to kind of show their changing of consciousness.
Yeah.
It's such a cool. He even
has the little headbands that Usopp made, changing expressions with them.
Oh my god! I
I
didn't
just
notice
noticed that.
that.
It's so funny.
That is so
Genius,
good.
Oda.
Yeah,
Literally
that's
just
so
noticed
funny.
that. Amazing.
Usopp, you've outdone yourself again.
Truly. Where does this man have these craft supplies?
He can do anything now. The pop
Yeah, he
grenade.
can do
Yeah,
anything. He's got a star
I'm
for
just
that.
talking like, but like hammer space. Like, man, just like I'm just talking like I'm just talking pack capacity. That's all. It's just impressive more than anything. Good for him. Also, really cool seeing Luffy develop not in like his powers, but just as a fighter. Bring up how Rayleigh, train him to actually think through the things he does with Gum Gum Balloon.
Yeah.
Or we even see he's even like using, I think this is observation hockey when he's like, there's two like animalistic things. Everyone's like, what are you talking about?
Hmm.
Yeah. He's really it's nice just seeing his capabilities keep going up little by little by little.
Yeah, it's like those little moments that really highlight like Luffy's growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So nice.
But I do think it's like a nice touch that he's like he has to actively think, oh yeah, really did tell me to do this. So I'm gonna do this. Yeah, I'm gonna actively choose to send this thing back at him. I'm gonna be smart about it.
Yeah. Good for you, man.
Yeah.
So proud of our boy.
Yeah.
Good job, Looster.
Meanwhile, Law just cuts him in half. Wild.
Okay, this counter shock attack, it's weird. And at
Yeah, I
first
wasn't sure what
I'm like,
happens.
I'm still trying to unpack it myself. And I'm like, I feel like this fits less than the personality swapping. The first thought for me is like, we see a zap sound effect. So I'm like, is he like
Mm.
supercharging the guy's nervous system? Is that what it is? That's
Could
just,
be.
I don't know. I don't rightly know.
Yeah.
That's the best explanation I could think of.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like some sort of electrical current he sends through the body, cracking whatever kind of headgear they're wearing. So I think
Yeah, it seems like Scott.
this is the Yeti with like the face mask.
Yeah, Scotch has kind of like a gas mask on.
Yeah.
Mm.
Makes sense actually for Punk Hazard.
Yeah, and that's why I think we see eyes because like it's because he has like the kind of the goggle aspect of the mask.
Yeah.
We see it crack after Law attacks him.
Mhm.
That makes sense. But not to like it's still cool.
Oh yeah.
It's still cool. Like I'm still a fan of it. I'm just like, how OP can one guy get? And how can we make it make sense?
I think it's most likely not a double fruit ability and probably just his like an attack that he's developed. Because at the same time, we also know like Sanji could do like the Diablo jump. So like that's not double fruit. So sometimes they just have like these like weird abilities.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
Diablo Jean makes sense to me
Zoro
'cause,
has
like
some
he's like
abilities.
spinning around. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just curious about like where it comes from then, more than anything.
Yeah.
Like, it's like Diablo Jean I kind of get because he's spinning around so fast that like the friction heats him up, and he's like, it's the flames of my heart, but like it's like he's spinning around. I guess I feel like with a lot
Yeah.
of these, like it's usually rooted in something
Yeah.
that like is easier to connect to. This is just the one where I'm like, I don't know what's
Yeah.
up here. And not
Yeah,
to discount, I'm just like I'm curious about it. But yeah,
Yeah.
maybe we just don't have to know.
They don't really give us a lot. I mean, this happens like from pretty far away. Like we don't even get a close up of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does seem like the Yeti Cole brothers kind of go down pretty easily here. Although like I did think it was funny how Frankie was able to take like the mountain peak and like throw it at Rock. And then
Yeah.
like, oh yay, good job, Frankie, you did something. And then like immediately he starts attacking Luffy again. So then Luffy has to resort to the elephant gun. And then now he's like, use your best attack on him. Like that's your friend.
Yeah.
Sorry, Frankie and Chopper. I'll have Chopper take a look at you later. So Chopper's got to treat his own body. Talk about an out of body experience.
Yeah, right.
Yep. So that's where we leave it for now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nice
so
unhinged
good.
fight. I'm very excited to pick up for the next one. I'm so excited
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah,
I
I'm
can't
digging
wait to
this arc.
see Evan see everything unfold.
Which emperor are
I'm
we
so
taking
excited.
down? Let's
Which is it
go.
gonna be? Who's it gonna be?
Who we taking down? Can't wait.
So excited. So excited.
Hey, would you guys have any final thoughts about the chapter or the volume as a whole?
I think this chapter hit me with the fact that so far this very short arc so far is really all over the place with just how many times these characters are getting shuffled around and going all these different directions, um and just how much activity there is this early in an arc, and with the setting being like it's hot and cold, it's very cool, but like it's pretty barren. Like there's not like as much going on with the setting as there was in, like, say Thriller Bark or even Alabaster, things like that. And I think it just feels like Oda is doing a lot with not as much as he normally does. And I'm just very, very fascinated by that and appreciative of that. And it makes me very excited to keep on going with it.
Yeah, I'm
All
really
right.
digging this arc. I'm digging the pacing. I like all the funny nuance in it, and it's cool having all these parties at play, right? Like we have, it seems like these four parties of the Straw Hats and Law, um, and uh, Smoker and the Navy and Caesar Clown, with all kind of like their different motives, and there's a lot of overlap and there's a lot of alliances as well. It's just like really cool seeing how it's all coming together. Um, and yeah, I'm really hyped to figure out who we're taking down.
Yeah, like you guys said, I think there's a lot that's been established pretty quickly. There's a lot of different like self-interest, and there's a lot of different pieces on the board, and a lot of different setup that like Oda's established, with the body switching. That's just like a layer that's been added on top of everything. There's like these conspiracies going on. We have Caesar Clown being like an absolute like madman. Um, so yeah, there's just like so many different things being set up, and there's a lot of things like a lot of like spinning plates that Oda's balancing here. And so far, I think he's doing a very good job of like progressing like all these pieces and keeping everything interesting. Um, One thing that kind of stood out to me was like a little bit of like wheel spinning was like kind of going back and forth with like the Straw Hats like going to like the abandoned facility, but then like they start to leave, then they go back, and then they leave again. So there's like a little bit of kind of um like being like stalled in the same area for a little bit, but then I feel like now things are starting to progress again. So that's my only minor criticism like about that. It just kind of felt like a little unnecessary to like even leave if they were just going to come back. Um, but a lot of it was just kind of, I think, to set up the situation where Nami got stolen and they had to go help Nami. But yeah, that's the only thing. That's just like a minor critique. But other than that, like, I just think there's a lot of things moving. There's a lot of like trajectory here, and Oda's got a lot cooking, and I'm really excited for the developments that we're going to get into, and the prospect of uh, them going after one of the emperors is really exciting. So yeah, we'll have to see how that plays out.
Quick piggyback on yours. I'm not even sure if I necessarily disagree with you. But the part you mentioned about them leaving the compound, then coming back, um, you're right that it may not have been structurally necessary. For me, I think that is the moment that made me realize, oh shit, there is like so much of like they're just being bound. Like this arc feels like a pinball machine, kind of.
Yeah,
And I don't think that is a necessary part of it. To me, that's just what made it stand out to me. So for whatever that may be worth, but also it may not have been necessary at the same time. So I do see
yeah,
where you're coming from, though.
yeah. Either way, things are crazy, and there's a lot of things going on, and it's very exciting. But for now, that will conclude this week's episode of the We Are Reading One Piece podcast. You can find this episode wherever podcasts are found at We're Reading One Piece podcast.buzzsprout.com or on our YouTube channel at We're Reading One Piece. This is a spoiler-free channel up to where we have recorded the podcast, so if you're new to the series, you can visit the channel there. You can also find me and this podcast on my YouTube channel at Pirate King Codex for more One Piece content. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, you can reach us at wereadingonepiece@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from listeners, so if you're enjoying the show, or if you have any suggestions on how we can make it better, let us know. Next episode, we'll be starting Volume 68, Pirate Alliance. I've been Joel, and I've been joined by Evan.
Thanks for listening.
And Cody.
So Zora was just drunk the whole time. Got it.
Oh, wait. We never mentioned that.
We didn't. I had to bring it back in. I just had to.
Oh.
Crazy.
Because I think he's got a high tolerance. He's got a high tolerance to alcohol. So
There we go.
All right. Well, be sure to bring along all your hopes and dreams, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Cool Brothers out.